Welcome to online tutorial number 1. There's going to be 13 of these. They're all designed to help you move through the unit. They're not designed to introduce new bodies of knowledge to you. You're going to get a body of knowledge it's sitting there waiting for you right now in order to get you to do the pre-test, all right, which happens in week 4, just before the Thursday before we meet on the Saturday. So it's really important that you don't freak out about the fact that you're only getting this one little body of knowledge that you're essentially going to use across the whole semester. This is what we call a low cognitive load unit, and we're going to talk a lot more about that in our workshops, get you to understand the nature and the philosophy that sits behind your learning in relation to why we would want to do this particular approach. The key thing for you is that all you really need to do is to prepare for that pre-test in week 4 by watching the video, looking online in the learning resources area. Here's the 20 concepts that I want you to have a good working knowledge of. Read the book chapter for another way of thinking about those concepts, and in your own mind just simply have a confidence around what each one of those things is. It's like a one-sentence descriptor. That's all you really need to do. Okay? Social capital is your network of available people that you can use to something. All right? Human capital is your ability to have some expertise and knowledge related to a pick. That's all I'm looking for you to know. If you know those things, the pre-test will be fairly easy for you, because it's not a test of who's the smartest person in the room. It's a test of who's prepared to ensure that they have a working knowledge of those concepts, so that when we get to our first workshop, that you're ready to hit the ground running. We won't be having lectures in the workshop. It's a workshop. You're going to get challenges and tasks, and you're going to be on your bike and ready to go. And that's the whole essence of a low cognitive load. All right? It's not about giving you a new body of knowledge every week. It's about giving you something that you can then take forward and use in multiple different contexts, in multiple different ways. All right? So that's the challenge for you. The unit, it will be different. There's no doubt about that, okay? I know that from my own personal experience working with students here now for the last 3 years. It will be different. Have a look in the announcements section of Blackboard. I've put 3 videos there that describe the nature of the unit, the learning space, and the philosophy in terms of the learning philosophy. If you want to understand how the unit's different and what that means for you, then make sure you're comfortable with what's in those videos, all right? Here's the big challenge for you. You don't need to push back. You don't need to say, but that's not how I like to learn. I like to do this, all right? That may well be the case, right? But this is a unit about entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship isn't something you just learn from a book and then go and do. You actually have to do it and then learn about the experience that you've just had, all right? And so that's the way that we've organized this unit. I'm giving you a few opportunities to be uncomfortable, all right? I don't take joy in seeing you being uncomfortable. I just know that it's an important part of the transformative process. Think about for a minute the process of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. There's no magic there. It's not I went to sleep one night and woke up the next day a butterfly. There's that lovely saying, you know, what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the rest of the world calls a butterfly. But it happens via a painful process, right? The caterpillar goes, and so consider yourself to be the caterpillar at the moment in this example. Its entire existence is just about eating leaves. It eats a leaf, it moves on to another leaf. It eats a leaf, it eats that one, it moves on to another one. It's a bit like you going through university. I do a unit, I complete it, I move on to another unit. I do that unit, I move on to another one, and so on and so on. But if we want to get to be the butterfly, this thing that doesn't just eat the leaves, but actually flies around and looks at all the different trees that have the leaves, that has this entirely different world perspective, then we're going to need to get into a bit of a cocoon. And the process of being in a cocoon is not a holiday. It's a very, very painful experience. If you can imagine that caterpillar, it's an entire structure, its body structure, forming wings, right? And having to go through that painful metamorphosis, and then having to try and fight its way out of that cocoon in order to be able to take flight. Well, that's the challenge of this unit for most people. That is the challenge. I see you coming into the room as caterpillars. I want to give you an opportunity to experience that challenge of being cocooned in something that's uncomfortable, that doesn't feel natural. But on the other side, if you can go through this process, if you can keep an open mind, if you're willing to have fun, if you're willing to trust the process, then there's a pretty good chance that by week 13, when you're writing your final reflection, that you'll be able to talk about yourself as a learner in ways that you may not previously have done. Okay? So keep an open mind. That's the big challenge for the unit. The pre-test, as I've mentioned, the materials are sitting online for you now. You can jump in and you can use those. You've got a video, you've got a book chapter, and you've got the list of the 20 concepts. So just work your way through and be familiar with those, and you'll be fine. I'm trying to prime your mind so that when we meet in week 4, you'll be ready to roll. Okay? I also want you to bring along 4 words. All right? The key thing about bringing along 4 words is that you are all uniquely individuals. And the 4 words that you bring will be unique to you, and they'll be of your choosing, all right? And they'll provide a wonderful starting point for your reflections of yourself as a learner as you're moving through this unit, okay? So bring along your 4 words. The reflective component of this unit is worth 40 marks, so it really makes sense that you become really good at reflecting. It's a process, right? It's that in the cocoon process. So it's not going to be comfortable. Most people find it really hard to reflect in a meaningful way. All right. So you've got the STEPS model, which sits online, which is sitting in there. If you look in the assessments area, interim learning report, you'll find all the materials that are there, and you'll watch the video on the STEPS model. It'll start to give you a bit of a sense for the challenge of a very structured reflective process. Okay. I'm only assessing the process. I don't make any judgments about what you've said in your reflections, only to the extent that they've actually followed the process, okay? So don't fight the process, work with the process. You're going to get the opportunity to get great grades in the unit if you follow the process, okay? If you fought against the process, it makes it pretty impossible for you to get a higher grade, all right? And we'll explain and talk through all of this in our first workshop, all right? In terms of the Saturday workshops, as I've said in my previous emails, if you're in a situation where you've already got a pre-existing situation, it's a wedding you've got to go to, you've got a work that you can't get out of, you're a member of a sporting team, contact me, explain that situation. There's a workshop on the following Monday morning that you can get along to, all right? And so we can work through that, all right? It's not because you're sort of thinking to yourself, I'd rather sleep in on Saturday mornings, or I'd rather go off and do something with my mates. It's not for those reasons, okay? I'll trust you, you can trust me, and it'll all sort itself out. I will not bring you in on a Saturday for the first workshop, and for Saturday morning for the workshops 2 and 3, I will not bring you in to bore you, all right? If you've got an open mind and you're interested in your own development as a learner and potentially your ability to be entrepreneurial, then come and have some fun in this unit, all right? It's a safe space for you to be able to embrace a different way of learning, a different way of thinking about yourself as a student and thinking about the types of requirements that you're going to need to deal with a complex world, all right? Can't wait to meet you all. Any queries, any questions, just email me. That's not a problem at all. Happy to take questions. Look forward to meeting a bunch of you next week in week 2. That's optional, so don't feel like you have to come along, but more than happy to do that with you. Otherwise, can't wait to see you guys. You'll get plenty of emails from me between now and week 4, me prompting you with things that are needing to be done. Obviously, next week you'll have another tutorial, which will talk about what's happening and where you should be in terms of your thinking related to the unit. And I can't wait to meet you all. Let's have some fun.